Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm doing a review of the latest expansion for Lost Ruins of Arnak, Twisted Paths, and also ranking the major expansions for the game in their usefulness for competitive and solo play. And disclaimer that I got a review copy of this one. And if you like the content on the One Stop Co-op Shop, consider supporting us through Patreon. You get early access to our videos and exclusive videos every month you can't see anywhere else. You can also listen to our weekly podcast for reviews and design discussions, or join the conversation and say hi on our Discord. So yes, they sent me Twisted Paths, and to be clear, if I'm understanding correctly, this is a collection of the stuff, the sort of incidental stuff that was added to the game when you got this big storage solution, which they did not send me. I just got Twisted Paths, so I don't have a giant box to hold all of Arnak. Not that I need one. I have it all kind of condensed down into the main game. But this still has a lot of new stuff, so let's talk through some of it. We've got a lot of things here that I'm not going to go into too much detail on. We got some new guardians, new assistants, new idols, new research bonus tiles, and some new sites. I'm not going to talk about any of that because they are not earth-shattering. If you already have the game, it's just more stuff. But let's get into some other things. We've got card dividers, which are useless. As far as I understand it, these are for the storage solution, which would hold these card dividers. Without it, they don't really do anything, but I believe that they just left the cardboard sheets for the game in their original form for the storage solution. So yeah, you end up with these random things. They look real pretty. I guess that's where the investigators went and stuff. But yeah, we don't need them. Who cares? Some other stuff that is a bit nicer, specifically for solo play. We've got the purple level of tiles for the solo bot's actions. And we've got these round-to-round little mini objectives that force you to take an action before the bot, otherwise they get some bonus victory points. These are both implemented in the app solo mode for the game, the free companion app. That's where I've used them in the past. I also printed out some of my own versions because they have a PNP. Apparently I was too cheap to get color ink. But these are nice to have. If you haven't played Arnak solo very much, the regular green and even red difficulty level can often be pretty easy to beat. So these little mini objectives give you some extra things to think about and change up your play each round. And these purple tiles make the game just that much tougher. And you can mix and match them. You can use some purples and some reds to kind of vary up the difficulty. So it's nice to finally have an officially printed version of this if you don't want to deal with the app, if you don't want to have kind of app functionality in your tabletop games. Totally get that. And then you get what you're really here for. 2 entire new boards of the game. You've got the Owl Temple, the side that I'm showing right now, and then also the Spider Temple, which I'll show you in a minute. And yeah, this is really where the value of this expansion comes in. So let me talk through some of the things. So you've got your basic sites. The movement requirements have changed slightly. Like here, you've got jeeps and boats in the basic sites for the extra spaces. And then in the Owl Temple, instead of all 8 of the level 1 sites being just 3 compasses, you also have gold for the second row of sites, but they give you a second idol. So that's nice, especially for the Owl Temple with its main mechanic you'll hear about in a second. And then your level 2 sites again with slightly different icons than normal. So nothing too earth-shattering there. Where stuff really gets cool with these new boards is in the research track. So what's new here? I mean, a lot of stuff is new, but let me get to the main mechanics. Biggest thing are these Owl Temple tiles. When any of your tokens is on one of the spaces with one of these tiles, you can pay whatever the indicated cost is to get one of them. They are worth this many victory points, 1, 5, or 10. Pretty cool. But then the big thing is whenever you get 2 of them, you get to lock them together. Ooh, puzzly. And they become, and this is legitimately awesome, a place for you to put the idols you collected. But unlike in the regular game, where when you do that, you are taking away victory points from yourself, you don't lose a dang thing when you do these. You just get the bonus for putting the idol there, whatever bonus action you want to trigger, at no cost whatsoever. So that is pretty awesome. Although, of course, you are using resources instead of advancing up the research track to get these tiles. But things get a little wackier in this temple because you've got these secret passages. So when your magnifying glass is in a spot like this, you can pay the cost, in this case using one of your defeated guardians for no effect whatsoever, to move your magnifying glass over here and get the bonus immediately. And this locks any other player out of it, so you're the only one who can go to your given secret passage. And once you do, things get a little wild, because your magnifying glass is locked down there forever, And instead, you get a lantern, a whole new token at the bottom of the research track. But as that one goes up, you're getting new and better rewards for moving up the research track with your lantern. And you keep the victory points from however high your magnifying glass went up because there are multiple secret paths to take. But then you're also getting whatever your lantern advances to. So pretty cool stuff there. Also, to get you even more of those owl tiles and even more idols to use the pairs with, that's what these things at the top are with. And just like in some of the other temples, you can access them earlier than when you get all the way to the top, as long as you've reached a certain row. So just a very cool temple, gives you a lot of new things to focus on, lots of ways to earn new points and more utility actions, just a lot of fun. And it integrates really well with solo because all you do is you give them this extra tile, it gets shuffled in with the rest of their actions, and it lets them steal the lowest owl tile on the board, and whichever value it is going to give them some extra bonuses. So like the 10s, they have to actually take 2 actions to get it. So it works pretty smoothly, although it is a little bit weird to me that they have no difficulty gradients here. There's no like green, red, or purple version of this. They're just always going to be grabbing those owl tiles like nobody's business, but so it goes. At least it keeps the component load light. All right, but now let me just pour everything over here and switch to the Spider Temple. Ooh, spooky. This temple also introduces an entirely new component, these dark tablets. Once again, the sites have different costs, but they get a little bit more unique here. You don't have that thing that the Owl one had where the third row, the topmost level 1 ones cost some money. Instead, the rightmost spot gives you an extra cost you can pay, like taking a fear or paying a money to get one of the dark tablets. And they always come from the leftmost spot where they're available. It matters because when your magnifying glass is above, fully above one of these artifact card spaces, what the heck is going on with those? You can take one of the dark tablets in your supply and put it in the spot for your player color. Whoops, I guess I'm red now. And you can take one of the artifact cards from the offer and put it in here and trigger its power. Boom, you've just spent a single tablet to get an artifact and use it right away. And as long as your magnifying glass is above that card, you can keep on doing it with more dark tablets, up to 3 times per artifact card. And hey, once you get above this one, you can do it again. And even if other players put an artifact in a spot, it doesn't stop you from spending your dark tablets to trigger it as well. So you have to be paying attention to what might be useful for you and useful for them. But we get back to this little track here because as these dark tablets are pulled off, this is going to make them worth negative points. Every single one that you have put onto the research track. So right now at the end of the game, they would all be worth negative 3 points to you. So if I had used this Tale of the Origin 3 times, that's negative 9 points. So I hope I gained a lot of benefits from the actions I took there. But there's some points to be gained here as well, because whoever has the most tablets on each of these artifact spaces, or tied for the most, gains the victory points listed above it. So really you want to use these just a bit more than the other players. Like if red only uses 1 tablet and blue uses none, I'm getting 3 points. They're not getting anything. And even if I get minus 3 points for the tablets because a bunch of them have been pulled from that track, hey, I've still gotten the artifact bonus out of it. So it's a fun interplay, sort of a give and take of how much you want to put these tablets down, how important the artifact bonuses you're going to gain are, and how easily you can gain the majority. Besides that, this is a pretty normal research track. I mean, yes, there are some weird spaces and different bonuses and everything, and there's some ghostly misprinted spaces. I'm hoping this is just my copy and not a regular thing. I haven't looked online to check. It's still easy to tell what they meant for them to say. But yeah, they look a little ugly. I'll also note some other boards have this, but you have very flexible assistant spaces. Like all of these on the entire board let you either take an assistant or turn one into a gold assistant, so you can kind of make that choice a little bit more easily than in other research tracks. And just like for the Owl Temple, you get a tile you add to the solo deck, and they are either adding new artifacts to the board or just putting the dark tablets onto artifacts already there. So they're still basically competing with you for the majorities, but the weird thing is they don't get any negatives for the research track. So they're just throwing down these dark tablets and potentially getting a bunch of bonus points, but you are suffering for competing with them while they take no negatives at all. And again, there is no modifier for difficulty here. There's no green, red, purple, which means they are consistently going to place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tablets every game, which at a minimum makes them worth -2. And clearly you're going to probably be putting some tablets out yourself, so you're getting into like -3 territory at a minimum. Which is why I like the Owl Temple way better than the Spider Temple for solo, because in my solo games, even against red difficulty, which usually is not a problem for me, I've gotten my butt kicked. I think you really need to scroll back the difficulty for this one, just because the bot is getting a big benefit with none of the drawbacks that usually come from the main mechanic here. But there you go, that's basically the Twisted Paths expansion. 2 new boards, which I think are awesome in competitive play. I think they each offer really cool new choices. And again, the Spider board has this really interesting area majority thing going on too. I think that's great. And I think one of the 2 boards, not this one, the other side, is awesome for solo play. This one I think is a little bit more finicky. And unless you play on an easier difficulty, you're going to have a really tough time winning. But this is supposed to be a ranking video, so let's end with that. What is the best expansion to buy? And I'm going to do 3 rankings, 1 for competitive, 1 for solo, and 1 for co-op. For my competitive ranking, the number 1 expansion, the best one to buy, is Expedition Leaders. This is the one that introduced the entire idea of asymmetric characters to play, and it has 6 of them, 6 out of the 8 available for the game, so it gives you tons of variety each time you play. It's also got 2 new research tracks to vary things up quite a bit. It's also got a bunch of new items and artifacts to add to the decks, which are my favorite thing. I think much more exciting than sites and guardians and those kind of things, because those are mainly just a one-off that you might not see every game. So Expedition Leaders, my number 1 for competitive, gives you a lot of variation to your play. My number 2, maybe surprisingly, is the Missing Expedition for competitive. This is the solo co-op expansion, which again might make it a little weird that I'm recommending it because it has so much stuff that's just for the campaign, but you've still got 2 new expedition leaders to round out your asymmetric options. You got a bunch of new items and artifacts, which again, I love. You got 2 new research tracks again, quite cool. And you've even got, if you want to, some new sites that will trigger use of these encounter cards from the campaign that add a little bit of narrative flair to the game. So not as vital for me as the Expedition Leaders, but still a lot of cool content in here. And my number 3 expansion is the one with the biggest rulebook, and that is Twisted Paths. I do think these 2 new boards are more exciting by actually quite a bit than either Expedition Leaders or the Missing Expedition. But if you put that to the side, you don't get any new leaders, you don't get any special characters with this one, you don't get any new cards, which is a bummer for me because I find those, again, much more interesting than new sites and guardians and assistants. But I will, again, emphasize great boards. Maybe it's like 2A and 2B, both good expansions for competitive. Switching to solo, well, obviously, the Missing Expedition moves into first place because it's got this incredible solo campaign, my favorite way to play the game. Then I would go with Expedition Leaders because it's awesome to have a lot of different characters to try out in your solo mode. And then way far behind is Twisted Paths because, as I said, I think the Spider Temple is fairly flawed for solo play, but it is nice to get officially printed tiles for the extra solo variants. Although, again, you can just use the app or print and play them, and you don't have to worry about buying this expansion. And then my final ranking for co-op, well, it's Missing Expedition because that's the only way to play the game co-op. Then you can play 2 players. Without it, you can't play anything. And then I guess still Expedition Leaders second because more characters to play in the co-op campaign. And then Twisted Paths is way in the back because I don't think you can use anything in here. Well, I guess you could add in like the new guardians and sites and stuff for co-op. But besides that, it won't even work for co-op. So nope. So overall, Twisted Paths is pretty cool, but I think you have to be a die-hard Arnak fan. These are definitely the expansions to go for when you're enjoying the game a bit. And once you feel like you've played every research track 1,000 times and you want something a bit advanced and a bit more interesting, then I might get Twisted Paths. But yes, it's definitely the easiest expansion to skip for quite a while. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope that was helpful. And a special thank you to our biggest Patreon supporters, J. William F., Steve Wren, Pedro Lucas, Miles, KCW, Andrew R., and Chris C. We'll see you at the next stop.